camera quality so low budget. Hey everyone. So let's go ahead and discuss a little bit about some more movies a lot of you probably never heard of. This time though, we're gonna be looking around the world in a more way. Instead of focusing on some of my favorite movies from this country, we'll be looking at movies from across different countries. Yeah, not just America. We have stuff from the UK, we have stuff from everywhere else in the world. Today I'm going to be making a top 10 list based on my favorite movies that I've seen that are not anything related to America. They are movies that were made, advertised, and mostly known in different other countries. Now, just to assure you, the only movies I really like to watch are the ones that are English language. So, these are still English language movies. I only really watch movies that are English language, that have the language of English so I can understand it more. Because I don't really know if I can do well with subtitles or much stuff like that. I may sound like me being lazy and all that, but I like to stick with English because that's the best language we people can go with. So I only watch English movies, and this is my list. All of them are English, but they all are from different countries. So none of them have an American thing. You can see them in America, you just, you can't see them advertised that much in America. They're all around the world. So let's take a look. Resident Evil. Based on a famous video game series, we all played Resident Evil once in our lives, haven't we? Maybe not. I haven't, but I am familiar with the first Resident Evil movie. I know this is just the first of a whole franchise, but honestly, I kind of just want to stick with the first one. Resident Evil is a movie focused on a zombie quarantine where our only hope are two female warriors who are ready to fight crime. I think it's you look back at what the whole cast is. All I know is that the main hero in this movie is a hot chick. Well, not really, but she is something. All I know is that this movie is mostly based around from the UK and Germany. It's not much from here. Now, I know a lot of us here are more familiar with the Resident Evil games, I'm sure, but for the movies, I think for the first one at least, we mostly aren't aware that this movie was actually more sold from out the UK and Germany. Not much here. Maybe the video games, but not this one. But yeah, I only want to watch this one because it was good, but honestly, I feel like I don't really want to get to the whole franchise, as I know that most of the movies probably fall downhill, so maybe I'll just play the video games. Mad Max. All the way from Australia, we have Mad Max. One of the first of the famous Mel Gibson in his role. This is one of many movies that I definitely will check out. But Mad Max was certainly something fun. It's a road rage, a movie based around some of the highest, most fast chases. And not like Fast and Furious where you're racing and being cool looking and all. Granted, you are cool looking, so I feel like this is more like an Australian Fast and Furious. All I know is that this is one of many movies that I definitely will check out. But yeah, this is from Australia. It's maybe you could be familiar with it here or not, but most of us are more familiar with some of the newer ones, like Fury Road or Road Warrior. So those I'll definitely have to check out soon. I still have yet to find them, but once I do, I will definitely watch them. So far, I've only seen this one, and honestly, I definitely will be in for some more fun. Murder on the Orient Express. I know most people who've heard of this idea are mostly just familiar with the movie from 2017, the more recent one. And yeah, again, I haven't really seen it yet, but I will check it out when I find it. But so far, I've only seen this one. The one from 1974, which made all the way from the UK, not a lot of people nowadays are still familiar with. However, when I saw it, I was definitely interested. Because I definitely am. I'm definitely a huge fan of the whole whodunit trope. It's been done a lot. But I love that kind of trope, so I love every time I can see it. This one definitely is no exception. Focusing on a murder on a train where every passenger is now tasked to find out which one of them is the culprit. The movie has a big assembled cast, only like 2 or 3 of them I'm aware of. But yeah, it's still a nice movie from the UK, and yeah, I know a lot of us are more familiar with the more American one from 2017, which I will check out. But so far, I've only seen this one, so I have to just keep looking. Dr. No. Yeah, I'm sure we all are familiar with this guy, James Bond. James Bond's awesome. You've heard me talk about James Bond before. You know how I definitely am appreciative of all the movies he's given us. I have a huge passion and enjoyment for James Bond. I've seen just about all of his movies. Well, not really. I'm still low on some, but a majority of them I've seen. I've mostly seen the Daniel Craig ones. Most of James Bond's newer films are somewhat set in America. However, from when Sean Connery's era, all of them were pretty much from the UK. Yeah, all of them were UK movies. So it wasn't until more actors came in for Bond to where it became more of an American property. But anyway, back from the 60s, when Sean Connery took over the role in such a nice way, we got films like this, the very first James Bond movie, which still does hold as a pretty good one. It maybe not everything's aged well, but it's still James Bond, and I definitely adore everything I can see from this guy. So yeah, for Dr. No, I think we definitely got a good start to this hero. And now we're on to the sequel, Goldfinger. I will have to tell you this right now, I forgot to mention in the intro, I will be including sequels on this list. Normally I leave sequels out, just stick to one of a time, but since I couldn't find enough for this list, I decided to include sequels to help fill in. So yeah, now we have the sequel, Goldfinger, the third installment in the James Bond franchise. This definitely is better than Dr. No in many ways. Not because it's sexier, even though it is, but because it's more action-packed, more thrilling, more interesting. Might go down as one of the best installments in all of James Bond movies, but then again, this is coming from someone who still hasn't seen every single one of them. Mostly just seen the more memorable ones. Again, I've seen all the Daniel Craig Bond movies, but that's about the only actor which I've seen all of his movies. Every other actor I'm low on some, but I definitely have seen Goldfinger and Dr. No. Both of them are pretty great movies to begin our hero's legacy. And yes, I do think Sean Connery pulls off the role in such a nice way. Even with great people like Daniel Craig with the role, we all should remember this was the guy who brought us the hero we all know and love. Now we're on to another awesome franchise, Monty Python. The Monty Python movies, also known as a British icon, every one of them are nice. And here's the meaning of life. A sketch comedy that just is mostly a bunch of sketches, each of them showing off fun little spoof ways of how marks of life. It's really all over the place. I really can't say much about this movie. It mostly just doesn't make sense. But the Monty Python crew are so funny in everything they do, I had to watch it. The Meaning of Life. It's a sketch comedy again. All the Monty Python members playing different roles, each of them being so out of order all over the place. It's hard to keep up. So it's hard to figure out exactly what this movie's trying to tell us, but it's mostly just trying to make us laugh, and I'm sure it does great at it. Everything from Monty Python really can make us laugh. They provide some of the wackiest, all over the place of humor. So, for all I know, I think Britain provides some of the funniest stuff for us. They provide lots of funny things, and I think Monty Python will go down as Britain's greatest comedy achievements. British. I gotta stop that. I need to pronounce my words right. I'm not really good this night. Here's another Monty Python movie, Life of Brian. What's often considered to be one of the funniest movies ever made, Life of Brian is a satire on a religious tale of Jesus and Brian and all sorts of things. This movie spoofs it by telling us the story of Brian in a very fun Monty Python fashion again. It's a classic Jesus tale, except instead of us having to take it more serious, what we have are all the Monty Python members being all wacky. It's another wacky movie. Instead of a sketch comedy, however, this one actually has some of a more serious tale. But even with the seriousness, you still can't really take this movie seriously. It's all over the place, all wacky moments, all non-stop, but that's just what makes Monty Python so great. Again, Britain provides some really funny stuff to us, so if you're looking for something funny, I recommend checking something out from the UK. They provide some really funny things. I appreciate the comedy we have here, but I definitely would like to take a break from Americans' comedy and look at comedy from other countries. I think that Britain provides some funny comedy too, so I definitely gotta look at more of theirs. They can be just as funny, not just with movies, but all sorts of stuff, TV shows, even YouTubers. So yes, Life of Brian, another great Monty Python achievement. What more could you ask for? Well, I'll tell you in a bit. But first, let's travel all the way to Italy to look at some spaghetti westerns. Yeah, there's a term for Western movies made in Italy called spaghetti westerns, and they were a big thing in the 60s. We have this installment for a few dollars more, starring the American Clint Eastwood. Yeah, I know, don't know why he's in Italy, but he's providing the role of the big Western legend in a story all about greed, Western tale, all sorts of stuff. I don't really know the best way to say how it's all cowboys and whatever, but spaghetti westerns are lots of fun. They were great in the 60s, and most people can still enjoy them today. Well, not my age. Most adults, not really. More of the older ones, like my dad's age or my grandma's age, not really much of my age. Regardless if I don't think it's great or not, I still enjoy Clint Eastwood and his great western achievement. And not just for the cowboy roles, he can pull off a great role in anything, just with a serious face and all that. But yes, his start was mostly with western flicks, especially the ones in Italy. So we have this Italian tale that puts Clint Eastwood in such awesome stuff. I can never get tired of Eastwood. I would definitely like to check out some more fun Western tales with him. However, I think I've seen all of them. I think I'm missing like one or two from him, but so far I've seen a majority of them. And this one definitely is a good example of why you should love these kind of Western flicks, you know? It's good old spaghetti Western. It's, again, you have something set in America yet made in Italy. Definitely should be interesting. And now we're on to the last and definitely funniest of Monty Python, the Holy Grail. In fact, you all have heard me say it. If you haven't heard me say it before, I'll say it again. It is the funniest movie I have ever seen. Yep, this movie is the funniest movie I have ever seen. Out of every movie I've seen, this one made me laugh the most. And that's just why Monty Python is that great. Their comedy is on point. That everything they do to make me laugh achieves well. If you want some good comedy like me, you gotta watch this movie. Unfortunately, it seems a lot of people my age just aren't interested in these kind of comedies anymore. That's sad because this movie made me laugh entirely. It is just everything I love. It's funny in every way, and it just proves how great the UK can give us for their humor, and especially with Monty Python. So even if this kind of humor is dead, I'll always look back at this movie and remember how great it was, and remember how movies like this really do work at making me laugh. Monty Python and the Holy Grail will always remain the funniest flick from my experience ever. I'll always look back at this movie and remember just how hilarious it is. It is achievement in every. It achieves comedy in every great way. I definitely gotta look at some more fun British comedy because if there's anything stuff like this proved me, I think Monty Python proved to me that everywhere, not just America, I shouldn't just trust what humor America brings me. I gotta look at the humor that can be brought from everywhere else, especially the UK. So I definitely gotta check out some more fun comedy that they have to offer. But thank you, Monty Python, for proving me wrong. I will always adore you. I think the best foreign flick I've seen ever, not foreign, non-American, I suppose, is another Clint Eastwood spaghetti western. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you are an adult, you would probably recognize this being considered one of the greatest movies of all time. And that's what it is. This actually has been considered to be one of the best movies ever made. It's a western with lots of nonsense in it. And while I will have to argue, I don't love this movie as much as most movie critiques do. That may be just be because I'm young and it's from the 60s, but trust me, there are many movies from the 60s I enjoy watching. So even if this one isn't that great in my opinion, I can still enjoy it. And I do love Clint Eastwood. And I also do enjoy me a good old spaghetti western, so I can at least call this a good movie. It's not bad, nor is it ugly, it's just everything good. It's iconic too. I think I can always say the good, the bad, and the ugly and always have fun with it. And especially the score. I don't know how many of you remember, but the score for this movie is amazing too. So there are a few amazing things, but overall, I guess I can't call this a great movie. But it's definitely not me saying I don't enjoy the 60s as much, or do I enjoy movies outside of America as much. Because everything outside of America still deserves a chance, not a war. I don't know, but look, I love this movie. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, it's such a nice film to bring all the Western fans and Clint Eastwood fans out there. So if you're a fan of Clint Eastwood or a Western fan, this is definitely a good movie you should watch. Seriously, I need to get a better lighting. What's wrong with this? Well, I hope you enjoyed. I got to visit the world without actually visiting the world. Fun fact, I've never been outside America. I've only been in America. I haven't been in any other country ever across the world. Seriously. I don't even think I've ever been outside the East Coast. I I'm not telling you where I live, but I live in the East Coast, and I've never been to any state outside the East Coast, nor have I been to any other country outside America, so I'm basically stuck where I am. So the best thing I can look at from these other countries are these movies. So I gotta look at more of them. Stick around.